You'll have to forgive me, I'm off-road at the moment, I need the CB. Maybe not that loud there. When did you think it was going to happen? Personally, I wasn't sure it was actually going to happen, but it seems that finally the bear is waking up, and I can't say it wasn't a moment too soon. How many times can you stab our kids, rape our kids, take the piss out of our country, take the piss out of our people, fucking get put first, hate us, and expect us to pay for you? Now let's just adjust this. How long can you literally make it quite clear that you're trying to take over our country and us be all right with it? How many times can your religious people tell us how much they hate us and how much this is a jihad and how much your expansionist death cult wants to take over? Still off-road, by the way, if anybody's asking. Right, I do have to do a CB thing. 1 second. Anybody coming up Quarry Lane? Anybody coming up Quarry Lane? One coming down. Right. I mean, fuck me. You've taken over places, you've run people out of houses, you've raped, pillaged, stabbed, mugged, prostituted, violated our churches, made it unsafe for our people to go, and all of the time you're still flooding in en masse, still pushing your ideology, your death cult on us, right, and on your own people, and radicalizing your own people to go out and do some fucking heinous acts. All of this, and we're supposed to sit there and smile. Well, that ain't fucking happening anymore. And let me tell you, I predicted this 9 years ago. All right, I said it was coming. I've also said that civil war was coming. I've said it in fuck knows just about every video because it's so fucking obvious. Right? Somebody else without a CB. Oh, well. Right. All of that, I can turn that off now. I'm just fucking amazed. I'm amazed that our people are considering this isn't the first time we've had to repel borders with Islam. And I'll be honest, Islam will come again and again and again because it's still stuck, as I'm considering it, in the dark ages, all right? It's fucking horrible. It is as mean and vile to its own people, stabbings, beheadings, stonings, all that other shit. Not to mention, why is it the feminists don't kick off about this, right? Because obviously a woman is worth half of a man, right? And a white woman is worth nothing really because they don't see us as human. Why aren't the child protection agencies kicking off? Because of all of the kids that have been nonced up and down our country and now stabbed. Now, while there is no reason that you can condone violence, right? Sometimes, and I mean just sometimes, during warfare and stuff like that, you can get your head around why certain things were done. But in this situation, right, I can't get it. And what I really, really, truly can't get is why did you go after kids who did fuck all? For the love of God, I can't fathom it, right? These were innocent little tots, and it's happening all over the place. And even when that's not happening, they're running riot all over the place as they did down in the south. There is an expression, and I'm not going to say all of it, but it's something out. You can work it out for yourself. And also, if you've got this far in the video, you'll realise that there's certain things all the way through that I can't say, legally speaking, right? So you have to read between the lines. But I predict within the next 3 to 4 years that most cities up and down the country that have a strong concentration of immigrants, right, that have a strong concentration of Islam doing its thing, you all know what that is, right? You will see British men of all colours, all right, that love this country, love their kids, and are worried about the future, coming out and defending themselves. That's all they'll be doing, right? And what will happen is the police, as it stands at the moment, and they always do this, usually appease the rowdiest, most threatening side. That's how it works, all right? Because that's how they're trained. It is kind of a bit of a common sense thing. I hate to say it, that you put down the smaller mob. But when you look at the demographics of the population, if this went on the way I think it will, then slowly but surely the police will change their allegiances, and it's going to take some time. But when they realise that the entire country, whether they're white, of honest Indian background, honest African background, Chinese, Italian, Sikh, you name it, right? If these people are innocent people who, to be quite frank, have come over to this country or were born in this country and want a quiet life, they'll join in with everybody else and they will fucking stand their ground against this murderous disease that's infecting the West. And you've seen it already over in places like Germany. They're starting to say, tell you what, fuck off. And the only reason that they're ahead of us, right, is the level. Now, there was a bloke, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, there's a bloke that wrote a book, and he'd studied Islam for years, and he tells you what happens when Islam is at 0.5 of the population, 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, 15%, and 15% of the population, you're in some serious trouble at this point. And he literally documents exactly what they'll ask for, then what they'll demand, and so on and so forth. Now, if somebody else can remember what that book is or who wrote it, because I can't offhand, all right, then feel free to put it in the comments. Now, some of you are trying to blame Tommy for this. He's one man, right? And while I'm not affiliated with Tommy or anybody right like that, you have to say that regarding Islam, the man's been on the money, all right, all the way through. Now, they are going to want the scapegoat, and they are going to put this down to far right. But the real truth is, this is normal, common sense people who have had a fucking gutsful of walking around, looking down at the floor, trying not to offend anybody. Well, fuck you. Be offended. I don't care. Mind you, I never fucking did, to be fair. Right? I have to walk through, or tiptoe through the tulips of fucking YouTube, as they say. But, no, I don't give a fuck. Because a normal fucking Muslim, if there is such a thing, right? When I say a normal Muslim, a person who's pretending to be a Muslim, all right? A person that goes along with it so he doesn't offend, or she offend the family. Also, they don't get battered by their own, all right? Because, well, we all know what it's like, all right? Those people do not want this shit happening in their name. And let's be honest, there were fucking many of these people that came to our country to get away from that butcherous fucking barbaric disease known as Islam, all right? And now they're seeing that the efforts that they went to give themselves a better life all falling apart. For what? Because that fucking death cult has followed them across different lands to get to here. Now, believe you me, there are a lot of people from Islam that just come here for a quiet life. But unfortunately, there's not enough of them coming out and saying, fuck this shit, you ain't doing this in my name. Because if they did, it would be a start, and they need to, but they're not. So I can understand why many people will whitewash them and say they're all the fucking same. However, if you do follow to the book the teachings of Islam, then it's going to be a problem anyway, right? Because, well, there's so many lines in there that say, if you don't get what you want, violence. If they aren't doing whatever you want them to be, kill them. That might have worked back in the fucking dark ages, but it ain't going to happen now. Because the problem is, there's going to be more and more of these apparently mentally ill. They're not mentally ill, they're just following what some fucking asshole has told them to do, right? One of these fucking hate preachers that absolutely despises our fucking culture and yet probably has 3 wives, claims every benefit known to man, and the moment you say anything about him will claim that you're a racist. Well, fucking call us a racist. We couldn't give a shit anymore. This is life and death. This isn't about feelings anymore. You're coming after us. You have declared war on us, but expect us to say thank you as you fucking murder our kids. Not gonna happen anymore. Not at all. So, there is going to be a change. And you will watch the liberals, that is, all the liberal women, all the do-gooders, let them in because they haven't got a fucking clue what they're on about and never should have been let anywhere near a fucking camera or politics because they're absolutely backward, blithering fuckwits, useful fucking idiots that have been brainwashed to perpetrate, or actually, should I say, help these fuckwits gain the power that they need. So those lot need to be shut the fuck up, all right? Get back in the kitchen and make a sandwich, you dumb cunt. You haven't got a clue what you're fucking on about. That. Number two is, as I say, it's going to go off all up and down the country. And number three, once our idiot fucking media have realised what's actually happening, people will either, how do I put this? The media's going to resist this for as long as possible, all right? Until most of the UK come out, and then, well, they've got to sell fucking papers, don't they, right? Or they've got to sell their news. So when they realise that nobody watches or listens or buys their shit anymore, they'll either go under or they'll have to change the narrative. We're going to be interested to see what does happen. There'll be a massive crackdown on social media. There will start to be the army brought out in places where they can't control all this stuff, right? And it will be just exactly what they wanted, because then they will be able to impose what they sort of similar to what they did over in Belfast and that during the Troubles, where you're not allowed out in the streets at night. You'll have a high presence of army on the streets, right, which is watching us, not them, all right? And what'll happen is, if that is the case, then just like it did over there, the patriots will end up turning on the forces. The patriots will end up turning on the police, because the police are propping up these people and defending them, right? And if the army comes out and takes sides and, say, for instance, fights on the side of Islam, right, then what we'll call the British loyalists, right, that would be a good one to call them, loyalists, which are loyal to our traditions, loyal to what would have been the crown back in the day, right? Not now, sausage fingers, he perpetrates. Well, he loves this shit, right? Well, what I would have called traditional loyalists will end up with numerous people that they're up against, which will be the system, the military, the police, Islam, and then the fucking liberals as well. But hey, that's the way it is. That's the way it's probably going to be, and that's what you have to expect. Now, nobody wanted trouble on our streets. Make that very clear, all right? But unfortunately, we weren't given the opportunity, right? Nobody listened to us, nobody cared about us, and nobody did anything. Now, if you look through history, and I don't know how many times you want to go back through history, when the people weren't listened to, and they had no other recourse, what do people always resort back to in the end to be listened to be heard? Violence. Now, some people call it terrorism, right? One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. And it depends on what side of the political spectrum, or what side of, which side of the army, you know, whether you're the army of Islam or whether you're what we'll call the loyalists, right? It depends on how, or which side you're on, as to how you will view these people. Now, there will be people that will see last night as a bunch of angry, violent, right-wing thugs looking for an excuse to kick off. And there would have been. Many of them there probably were looking for a reason just to kick off because they'd had a gutsful. Others out there would have been generally worried about the future, right? And so utterly aggrieved that the police are out doing nothing, that they've finally snapped, all right? But as I say, you're going to see this up and down the country. And if nobody else is going to defend the people will defend themselves. This is a natural, inherent defense mechanism within human beings, so that they don't get walked over, slaughtered, battered, beaten, taken the piss out of. It's human nature. I mean, whenever we've gone into a land and invaded it, the people have tried to stand up for themselves. Now they're doing it to us. We will try and stand up for ourselves. That's how it is, right? I've predicted all this and I will carry on and predict what's going on. But Labour is the accelerationists. Labour are the one that will do such a job of facilitating Islam and showing the government's position, because it's both, it doesn't matter who's in power, they all give in to Islam and they all put Islam before their own people, right? And there's reasons for this, I can't go into it now, but there are reasons, and if it's financial, they were bribed, right? However, it doesn't matter who you get, they'll all do it, but some will do it a lot faster and to a lot more extreme than others, and Labour are just that. And because Labour aren't the Green Party, then you can't say, oh, they're doing it because of green values and this, that and the other, because, you know, with Labour, they're apparently supposed to be for the working man. Well, the working man at the moment out in the street is worried about his missus, worried about his kids, and is worried that what's going to happen next. So, Labour will show its hand and show just how, fucking idiot trying to go round, show just how evil, corrupt, poisonous, anti their own people they are, right? Will enact so many fucked up laws that will come down on its own people just to facilitate Islam walking into this country and taking over, which is exactly what they want, right? And this will wake the people up. This is the catalyst. This is what acceleration is. Acceleration is things getting bad so quick that people actually fucking wake up and go, oh shit. Which is why some of the people who really love their country voted Labour. They did it because they knew what was going to happen, and they knew it was the only thing that was going to wake people up. Now, many of you won't get that. We are all at different levels of our awakening, or of our understanding of the political situation, understanding the cultural situation, understanding historically that things like this have happened before, and the reasons why they happen and why they're happening now. Some of us are just coming into this and can't understand it. It seems like 4D chess. Well, it is. There are so many sides and so many levels to this, right? And this wasn't just planned 10 minutes ago. This has been on the cards for a very, very long time. Why, you say? Well, there's a group of individuals that realise that they can't hoodwink educated Westerners, right? That is very difficult. But what you can do is flood them with people who are, quite frankly, despising them, cause civil war, break down the economy. Once the economy's collapsed, you'll offer up a one world economy, right? And then you'll promise the people that if they capitulate to this and they go with a credit score and all the rest of it, that, well, you'll take the heat off, you'll put these people back to where they need to be, and normality, as they see it, you'll have nothing to be happy, but the normality that they want for you, right, will come. The normality is that you won't have anything, you won't be anywhere, it will be a completely different currency, everything will be under a credit scoring. But all of this couldn't just come in, they couldn't just bring it in because we'd have all rejected it. So they have to create a situation that's so utterly abhorrent, so disastrous, so depressing, so dangerous, that you will agree to fucking anything just to take the heat off. So that's what they've done, and that's what they're creating, and that's what you're going to get. And the only way through this, right, is to stand up for what's right. I won't say any more than that. Do the right thing. Because doing the wrong thing is what many of us have done up until this point, which has led us to where we are now. You wouldn't have got away with this shit in the 50s or the 60s, which is why they had to slowly indoctrinate people through TV, through media, through universities, schools, etc. Through apps, through the phone, whatever you want to call it, but it's worked. Well, now what we have is a situation where there are generations that don't understand the things like honour, integrity, decency, morality, and all these things that I was brought up with, and the generations before me were brought up with. And we're going to have to reinstall it in these kids to make them understand what is right, what is wrong. Because at the moment, a lot of kids may well have a moral compass that's spinning like a fucking CD. So the work is ahead of us. Well, what you'll do is you'll start with, is it obvious to you to see that these people fucking hate us? Right? Not all, but most. Right? Do they hate us? Yes. Why? And then you'll have to go through the reasons why. And it's going to be a bit of a history lesson. But once the kids understand and you you teach the kids about what we used to be, which was Christians, all right? I mean, many of us still are. As I said yesterday, and people like the phrase, you can have your relationship with God. It even said in the Bible, right, for you that want to be religious, right? It said that do not go to anybody else but me, right? Those weren't the exact words, but basically something like that. And I said, you don't have to go through a broker to you know, have your relationship with God, which is why. And you couldn't go through most of the churches now because they're so utterly corrupt that to do so, they'll just brainwash you to believe that Islam is right and we're wrong. So it can't happen. But when we were good Christians, when we had all of the morals and the tenets that were taught in the Bible, which ended up working into our society, our culture, right? We stood up for what was right and wrong, and we held each other to a standard as well. And if people drop below those standards, you tell them to pull their fucking socks up. It's not acceptable, right? And this did them good and you good, because it stopped people slipping into degeneracy, which is no good for anybody anyway, right? It stopped people's moral sliding. You held each other up, and life was better because of it. You might not have had lots of money, but money never actually brought happiness in the long run. If you're miserable, it's because there's something inside you that's not been fulfilled, that doesn't feel happy, that feels uneasy, all right? You look at some of the poorest people in parts of Christian Africa, right? You'll see them singing at church, happy as a pig in shit, right? You'll see them having a party, right, where they all get round and sing and dance and they love it, and they're broke, absolutely fucking broke, but they're happy because they understand the basics. I'm healthy, right? My kids are healthy. I have enough to get by, and I'm grateful for what I have. And they say thank you to God, and they love God, right? Now, I'm not going to go too godly because many of you are atheists. That's fine, all right? But we will have to unite under something, and they're going to call it Christianity. And the reason they'll do it is because it gets up the nose of the opposition. That's a simple fact, all right? Now, I think I've gone on probably long enough. You've got some fucking interesting times ahead of you. You have to stay safe. You will understand that if people up and down the country start standing up for themselves, then the opposition are going to come out in force much more often, and this will snowball and things will be bad. So you have to prepare for this. This is coming whether you like it or not. It's foretold if you want, but it's obvious as well, so we won't go into that part of it. Anybody with a set of eyes in their head, which is watching the situation escalate, can only understand that it's going to get worse, because one side could be considered to be reasonable, but the other side is unreasonable because it has demands, and its demands aren't reasonable. And when they want to use force to get their demands, you have no other recourse, okay, but to stand your ground. And I'm really choosing my words carefully here, but you get the idea. Anyway, that's enough for now. Fucking hell, there's a plane. Just taking off. I shall get on. I've got a really busy day working for a bloke who treats me like a cunt. And there it is. I hope you're all right, and just be nice to your family. Start networking, okay? Build relationships with your neighbours. Start setting up a community. I don't care what colour your neighbour is, all right? If they're a good egg, network, all right? Because you're going to need to now. The reason I say this is because I've gone through history and I've seen how things work. And it's times like this that really bring the community together, and for the better, all right? We had a situation. I lived on an old RAF base. I might have told you this before. Now, it still had the gates on it, right? What happened was we had a load of travellers trying to get on. And I heard about it just in time. And I got these gates shut and I blocked it. And then a few of the locals went, what are you doing? I said, these people are coming. So a few locals came, then a few locals more, then there was another entrance. We blocked that off with a few ton of fucking Type 1 or whatever it was. And that was it. And then by the end of that night, the travellers tried to come on, and they were met with about between 150 and 200 residents, all ready to meet them. And they couldn't believe it. They were absolutely bemused. They went, what's this? I said, I'll tell you what this is, sunshine. You ain't getting away with the shit you usually do. All right? Oh, you're racist. Fuck off. I don't care. You can call us what you like, but you ain't coming on this land, destroying it, throwing your rubbish everywhere, shitting everywhere, and upsetting the residents. We pay for this land. You don't. Fuck off. And they were gobsmacked. And I have to say that one of the locals went over and met with their leader in a different field, who had a drink with him, and he was absolutely stunned, but impressed. And this is what happens. And since then, we had a better community. People started to say hello and acknowledge each other, and it was much, much better. But that was just one event. I was in the paper for that, by the way, with another guy. And it's funny because they put they shall not pass. It's quite good actually. But it takes a few good people to start something, and that's what it's going to be all up and down the country. And believe you me, out of bad situations, good things can come. All right, right. I've gone on long enough. I'm going to get on, and I'll see you in a bit.